What's up, teammates? Back again. Look, I forgot to do last night's video. I fell asleep. Period. There you go. I missed the day before that because I had no content and I wanted to do quality over content. Last night, fell asleep. So today, I'm going to try to get this a little earlier than I usually do to talk about what I was going to talk about last night. Now, the day before last night, I made up a show about Menshew and I was going to talk about the game in general and how I felt like he did. And the more I looked at it, the more I spoke about it, the more I wrote stuff down. It ended up sounding like a Menshew bash. And I don't want to do that. I don't want to come out as negative as I can on everything he did. So I sat it out and I tried to come out with another perspective to look at his performance. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say what I believe are the five things that he can do the simplest things that he can do that he didn't do last week that could make his performance much better. These are the five simplest things that he could do because his performance wasn't terrible. And if he can get these things out of his system, we'll be a much, much better football team. So, number one thing is remember the play, okay? The fumble that he got was because he didn't remember the route for Davante Adams. He forgot that it was supposed to be a two-step screen instead of a smoke screen. Whatever, if you know what that means. Smoke screen means just stand there, turn and get the ball. A two-step screen means you act like you're running a route and then stop after a couple of steps and wait for the ball to come in that way. And he forgot what the play was, so he tried to hold the ball and ended up throwing it backwards, and that's what happened. And that's why he got the fumble. If he could just remember the play, he'll be fine. He did that multiple times in the game, so it's not like I'm harping on that play. It's been a few times. There's at least one run that he messed up because he didn't know the play, and there were multiple passes or plays and passes that weren't part of the play. So remember to play. It's pretty simple, and he didn't do that quite a few times. So if he could also not prefer the check down, he went out there a lot of times and he was looking for the check down to get open before he was looking for the rest of the play to develop. I realized he didn't have a lot of time. There was pressure coming, but you know you gotta stay in the pocket a little longer. Just because the pressure is coming, you gotta be willing to take one in the face every once in a while. But don't go out there looking for the check down. There were plays where, what is his name, Davante Adams. That there was third down play. Davante Adams had his hands wide open. He was wide open, had his hands waving. If he'd have threw the ball sooner, he'd have got the first down, but he didn't trust his arm, and he was waiting for the check down receiver to get open and trusting him to make the yard. So if he sticks with the play and goes with the hot route or doesn't try to prefer the check down because he believes that's what will be open and trusts his running backs to get yards. So if he can step away from that, that'll be another way he'll be more successful. He has to trust his arm. He knows his arm is not golden, let's say. He's can't trust his accuracy, and the velocity just isn't there, and his deep balls are 50-50. I'm not trying to harp on it. I'm just trying to say what I saw in the first game. Nothing else. Just talking about what happened in the first game. Now, it could be something that doesn't ordinarily happen, something that's going to be fixed next game, whatever it is. This game is what I saw. And what I saw was a lack of velocity on an arm, which makes him not trust his arm when it comes to throwing in the middle because he believes that it's easy to read his eyes, especially when you're going on the middle with a ball with not much velocity. So he has to read a little earlier and just throw the damn ball. Trust yourself. Throw it. Make the timing. Even if the receivers, hasn't looked for the ball yet, you gotta throw it before he gets out of break. Just trust your arm to put the ball there. you know, and I'm sure he's aware of his accuracy shortcomings, and that's why he's afraid to throw it in the middle. But we can't do check down Charlie or wait for somebody to be wide open before you go further down the field. Okay, so he can't leave the pocket too soon. I believe he was. He got to trust the pocket a little more. He trusts his arm and he trusts the pocket a little more. Not like the offensive line or like the O line, was doing a fabulous job. It was not say getting pushed around, but it wasn't doing what we expected it to be doing, and maybe even a little less than that. We'll put it that way. But that's really not an excuse for trying to get out of the pocket as quick as you can, especially if it's not effective. Like he had a chance for a long run. Bosa got at his leg. Bosa killed us, by the way. He tripped up with Gardner when he could have got that first down, and it would have been a burst too. Just barely got at his toes, and Zeus had two hands on the ball. People, it's not like he was, he's being lazy with the ball or blasé. It was just a great play. Good defense beats good offense every time. There's nothing the good offense can do against good defense. Even if the time is right, even if your hand's right there, even if the ball coming right towards your hand. If a good defender can get his hand in between your hands and the ball, there's nothing you can do about that. And if the defender can fucking leap about 4 feet and then punch a ball that's being covered with two hands and get it loose, that's just a good defensive player. I can't blame Zeus for that. I've digressed. Returning back to Gardner Menshew. And the last thing I think I saw in the game is he was a little tense. I feel like I mentioned it on maybe an earlier video that he plays better loose. He has to play loose. And he plays better when I believe there's no expectations on him. And when you're a backup quarterback, there's no expectations on you. They throw you in there and say, good luck with it all. We hope you can do something for us. When he was in college, he was, we're Washington State. We really don't expect much from we expect stuff from ourselves, but there's not much expected of us. Let's go out there and be as free and loose as we can and just play some football, man. Menshew style. So he has to find a way to get to that because we're relying on him, and he has to get used to being relied on and being loose at the same time. So, simple things that I think he can do. I'm not harping on how bad he was. I'm saying that there's room for improvement on simple areas that if we see those things, we will be much more successful as an offense, and he will be more successful as a quarterback. And on the flip side, just to help him out, there are a few things that I believe that if he can do those things, not only will he keep his job, but we may also win the game because his job is on the line right now. 4 sacks, a pick, and a fumble is going to have the media calling for your head, and it's going to have the media questioning Antonio Pierce because they're going to love to question Antonio Pierce. Because that's the low-hanging fruit right now. Because he's a rookie, and every mistake they make, they can blow it up. They can look like they were right because they said, because there's those who believe he shouldn't be the quarterback. The head coach, and even those who thought he should be the head coach are starting to pull back. There's a few of those out there too, but there always are. So anyway, off to the positive side of Gardner Menshew and what he could do to not only save the job, but win us the game. So the first thing I have is he still needs to only throw 1 pick. They let loose on him, and they let him get him a pass because he had a pick and a touchdown, and that evened out his quarterback rating. So, and plus with his high accuracy level, his QBR came out to be like 93.5, I believe. And, you can't get fired for a QB rating like that. And limiting yourself to 1 pick is, going to keep your QBR up and help you keep your job. If he can limit it to 1 sack, then he can keep his job, because they're worried about, they put him in for mobility. And if his mobility breaks down again, they're going to be calling for his head. So he has to limit that situation as far as what he can do for himself to help him keep the job and to help us win the game. So next is no fumbles. That's easy. But he had one. So he has no pass for another fumble, not today. So he has to keep the ball in the hands of him and do his best to throw good balls so that he can't get any blame on a fumble from a receiver where like it was a difficult catch and he got it hit out of his hand because it was a difficult catch. Then he tried to adjust and run, so then it got hit out of his hand, something odd like that. He has to avoid that situation. He has to have nothing to do with any fumbles in order to help keep his job and help us win. If he can bust off a yard, or if he can if his total rushing yards can get up above 50, if he can prove that he has the mobility that won him the job and the legs that'll help us get a couple of first downs, and he can get loose and make his legs a weapon for our team and a game changer for broken down plays, that'll help us win, and that'll help him keep his job. And finally, if he can get a rushing touchdown. If he can get a rushing touchdown, again, it will prove the mobility that helped him win the job. It will give the fans something to look at, and it'll make Antonio Pierce look better for picking him, because they'll say, well, it looked like they going with the mobile quarterback was the right thing to do. They didn't end up pulling out the game, but Gardner Menshew went nuts with 50 rushing yards and even pulled off a rushing touchdown. So those are the things in general that he has to stay away from. And I don't think he has, or those are the in general that he has to do. And I don't think he has to do all 5 of them. I believe that to keep his job, if he pulls off at least 2 of those things, if he could either, keep it down to 1 pick, keep it down to 1 sack, not fumble the ball, get some rushing yards, keep the sacks down, he can keep his job. Sorry, I started looking at myself in the mirror, not looking at the camera. Anyway, with that, he can keep his job. Any 2 of those 5 things, he can keep his job. Any 3 of those 5 things, I believe it's likely we will win the game. So, these are the things I think we should be looking out for in this upcoming game to see if we can be victorious. All the things that he can improve on. And you know what? He doesn't even have to improve on all those things, by the way. If he can just improve on 2 of them, he keeps his job. Again, I feel the same way. If he improves on 2 of them, he keeps his job. If he improves on 3 of those things, simple things that he has to change he did last week, I believe there's a good chance that we win. If he improves on all 5 of those things and a couple of these things down here, I believe we definitely win the football game, because his improvement will drastically change everything. So his play pulled us down last game and we lost. If his play can improve, I believe it can pull us up for the victory. So let's stay positive. Let's look up and see if we can, see if these things are there to give us some hope. Watch through it in the first quarter. See what's coming together. Believe that it could come together even better as the game goes on. Because if it starts out good, we would hope that it could get better. Hope for adjustments at halftime. Getsky has to call a better game as well. He has to call a much better game. We can't be going out of shotgun the whole game again. That's just not going to work, and we saw that. So, can't be running out of shotgun. We can't be passing out of shotgun outside of 3rd down, in my opinion. I think that's his biggest mistake. So, we improve and go back to the offense that we trained for. Menshew gets those any of those subjects right, or any of these changes correct, I believe our victory will still be there because the defense that we had last week uh, didn't crack until the fourth quarter. And if we can get some points, some time on the field, and some room for the defense to, you know, make a mistake or two, we got the victory. And we all we have to do is stay with the same amount of penalties. We still only had 2 penalties, so we're doing great with our defense, our offense. The Menshew chart I just put up. He brings that together. We'll be fine. So, and the penalties were down, and we just keep them down. So, you know what? I'm not gonna do it. I was gonna say something about Q Myers, and I don't want to offend Surfer Bob, but Q Myers is too negative to me. I just feel like, and I'll just do this as a report, and maybe it's interesting information. But so when he was talking, on one of his shows, and he tries to bring up his little interesting historical facts, but sometimes you don't need to mention things. Let's just move forward, right? So first he mentioned how it was the best weekend in the history of kickers in the NFL, except for our kicker. Like, just why bring that up? Just put that in the background. Okay, it happened. Okay, you noticed it. Why display it? Why does everybody need to know that? I don't know. What else was he? Oh, the penalties, dude. 2 penalties. We had the nerve to have. We had the fortunate. And it wasn't even fortunate. We played such a disciplined game that we only got 2 penalties. One of them was, yes, an over and aggressive play, and you don't want to accept those penalties, but you understand those penalties, but you tell your player, look, I see you being aggressive, I like that, but you still gotta stay, in check. And that was Snowden, and he's trying to make a name for himself. He got a penalty. It was his fault, no problem. The second penalty was on a Michael Mayers block, and it was a very, very questionable call. Dare I say the wrong call. But he had the nerve to bring it up to Pierce. Anyway, what I'm saying is, there's some people that want to address the negative side of things and bring it out. And then there's some people who would rather see the positive side of things and display that. That's what I try to come from. Hands down, hate me or like me. No people or a lot of people. At least if you want to hear something that's not going to add frustration to the cast, like bringing up the worst part of everything we did last game, come to the silver lining. All right. Now listen, you can't win them all. The clouds get dark. All right. When you're looking for the bright side, come to the silver lining. Guru out.